Residential and commercial buildings are slowly edging out farmers from their fertile land. The rising demand for houses has made many landowners in the food-producing county to abandon farming in favor of real estate business. In Kilimo area of Juja sub-county, many landowners have subdivided their small parcels to sell to land-buying companies that have pitched tent there. However, one farmer has defied the temptation and is reaping big from his 8-acre piece of land. Meet Gitonga Runo, who has set up a farming enterprise in the area. Gitonga says that he has always wanted to venture into farming, but did not know how to start. 3 years ago, he teamed up with his wife Joan to establish a greenhouse in Kalimoni, Kenyatta Road.
We got into farming. We started with capsicum. Like you can see this, we did a lot of capsicum growing. And we were doing capsicums and they were bringing us an income per week. So we realized that the farm can be so diverse. You can have food in the farm, you can have fun in the farm.
With their success in vegetable farming, the couple decided to do crop rotation on their farm and ended up experimenting with flowers.
We started the flower business after, it was an alternative crop, what we call crop rotation. So we had come from doing the capsicum and we were looking for a crop to do because the soils get exhausted. So that's how we started the flowers. I would say the flower business, once you get the right flower, like we are seeing this is doing very well. This we call Jebera is doing very well if you do it in volumes, because you can sell one flower at about 20 shillings and there is not much work. Like Mzee was saying, we are old and sometimes you can get challenged by labor. So are you able to do it for yourself? Yes. Like right now I was actually taking care of this, I was weeding. So the flowers is a good business once you do them in good volumes. And we already know now which flowers are moving more. We know this white is moving more. We know these colors move also. So once we establish that, then you can do now like a whole greenhouse of this white. You can do a whole greenhouse of this in the next phase. And that's what we have actually tried to do.
Before long, the two realized they could do a lot more with their farm and mooted the idea of introducing a fish farm. The duo ventured into fish farming after retiring from their previous jobs.
When we got somebody who was who assisted us, we thought it was a good package for people who are retired.
With the knowledge acquired, they were ready to try their hand in fish farming.
We started with the 6. Then we came and we wanted to expand to tilapia and catfish.
From the 6 ponds, the former civil servant has managed to expand his farm to the current 23 ponds. In his farm, Gitonga keeps ornamental fish, tilapia and catfish. Starting a fish farm is never easy when one lacks the technical know-how. This is what he realized after setting up the facility.
Initially, when we started doing this infrastructure, we didn't have the training. We are doing the infrastructure, having the drainage installed, which means there is a lot of excavation, a lot of piping, and there is quite a lot of work that is being done.
The realization came after he joined a group of fish farmers for a symposium organized by Farm Africa.
As I mentioned, it's very capital intensive in terms of doing the pods, particularly if you are doing this kind of pods, liner pods. You can see even our liner pods are not we are not using the proper paper because of the costs. But this one, even though it is very temporary, but it also can go for almost like 6 years.
Having started the Farm Africa training in December, he was optimistic of turning around his farm. But building fish ponds and a good drainage system are not the only lessons that the two farmers learned from Farm Africa. For Joanne, she learned a few lessons on feeding the fingerlings.
We feed the fish at particular times, that is at 10 o'clock and at 4 o'clock. And for you to be able to feed the fish, you've also got to also weigh them. So you weigh them and get to know the body weight so that you're able to estimate the amount of feeds depending on the number and their size. So that's what we do. So after you've established how much you're going to feed them, then you feed them at 10 and at 4 o'clock. The reason why you feed them at 10 is that the oxygen levels in the water will have improved, because as you know, during the night the oxygen levels go down. The planktons are also feeding on all the fish and the planktons are competing for oxygen, because you know at night the plants use oxygen. So you have to wait for the sun to come out for photosynthesis to begin, so that now the fish will also be able to, they are no longer competing with the oxygen, and therefore the fish can be able to feed because of the maximum oxygen in the water. What we have actually learned so much from Farm Africa, we feed them with what we call the planktons, that is the algae. This is the normal food that the fish feed in the rivers, in the ocean, wherever. Like Musa explained before we came into this business, we didn't know so much about feeding them. We are feeding them with what we call mash food. Mash food is just a mixture of different types of food, like rice bran, wheat bran, cotton seed and all. But now when we went for further training, we came to know that they are good feed, and also they are floating. We call them floating pellets. So once you introduce them to the fish, they are able just to float for a while before they sink. So the fish will be able to eat them.
Building infrastructure is usually a capital-intensive exercise, but the farming duo never gave up on their dream of owning a model fish farm. His idea of a model farm is taking shape.
Our vision is to have a model farm. And why we are saying that is because we have ornamentals, we have tilapias, we have catfish. We intend to, we have the hatchery. Is to have a farm whereby we can that people can come and learn about aquaculture.
With the ponds, he's hoping to rear as many fish as he can.
Challenges is actually the volumes to attract the big consumers, particularly the importers from other countries. That is, I think that is the challenge. We are told that's where the challenge is.
To make it a fully fledged all-round fish farm, he plans to introduce concrete tanks inside a greenhouse.
We want to have concrete tanks. Those are in those will be in a greenhouse. In a greenhouse, I can't call it a greenhouse. Then in the lower side, we are going to have pans, which actually means that we are going to create, eventually we may be able to create a very big wet plant.
With a water pan, there is guaranteed source of water for the fish, considering that he does not have a natural source of water like a river. To optimize the use of water, he recycles it by pumping into an adjacent greenhouse for irrigation.
And as you can see, water that is being released from the fish pods is coming here. So it doesn't go into the rivers. So it doesn't go into the river. It collects here, then it is pumped into the greenhouses where we are growing flowers. So we have a system that is running, an irrigation system that is running to irrigate the flowers in that greenhouse. What it does, it cuts down on the fertilizer requirements because the water is quite fertile.
They hope to build a recirculation system that could help them recycle all the water that goes through the ponds.
It's a little bit expensive using this pump, by the way. What will be sustainable is a solar pump. This whole pumping out of this, pumping into the fish pods, we are talking about over 10,000 per week.
With ponds, a good drainage system and fingerlings, a fish farmer is usually ready to undertake fish farming. But there is more that is needed to make it successful.
These are predators nets. Prevent the birds from entering the pods and eating the fish, particularly the small, the very small fish.
For fish to mature, they take between 4 and 6 months to attain between 1 kilo and 2 kilos if they are fed well.
Feed gradually change the size of the feed depending on the body size. So like we have a mixture here. That's why we told him that the pellets we're having, they can be 0.2, 0.3, 0.5. Yeah, like the big ones now, the broodstock, the others, we can feed even 0.4, 0.5. But what we are feeding here should be 0.3 and depending on the other sizes, it can even go as low as 0.7 is the least we are feeding, because like if you observed closely, they were just hitting the balls and moving. They were not able to swallow. So introduce the various sizes in the pod. If you start with the catfish, if you feed them well from the time they are from the hatchery, they can take about 4 months, 4 to 6 months. So 4 to 6 months, if you feed them well, you've weighed them correctly, you're feeding the right time, you observe quality of the water, you should be able to attain like a kg in about 4 to 6 months. So if you attain 4 to 6 months, you're ready to go to the market. Why you should attain about 1 kilo is like for the catfish if you want to fillet. But for the what do you call them? The tilapias, you can be able to put the market anytime, because you know some people want a big fish, others want smaller fish. So depending on what sizes you want to, because it depends on your market. Some people want big fish, others want small fish.
For ornamental fish, they mature faster considering that they are used to beautify aquariums and are not reared for their meat.
Now for the ornamentals, it depends now on the market, what size they want. You are not the one to dictate. So like you can have a customer who wants 2 inches, 5 inches, like that. That's why I'm saying now when we look at our fish, we think they are ready. You can have some that are ready for the market.
To ensure continuity, the farming couple has established a small hatchery in the periphery of their farm.
Hatching catfish is one of the greatest challenges that you ever see. You'll be having hundreds of thousands to start with, but what survives is very little. The mortality rate is exceedingly high.
For them, the hatcheries provide the much-needed fingerlings to replenish their stock, ensuring that they have enough fish in various stages of development. But knowing the exact population of fish is tricky.
Drain the water off, like That water pod is already being drained.
Okay.
You've seen the water that is collecting in the waste area. We just dropped the pipe. We have already made the system. If you could look at that pipe, it is done in such a way when you drop it down, the water begins to go into the drainage pipe. So if you check on that one, the drainage is already in place. All you need to do is bend it like they've already done here. So water is slowly seeping out. After it seeps out, there's something we call a harvesting basin. If you could look at that one there's somewhere you find this dipper, like a dip end. That is where all your fish collect, and that's where now you pick them from there using buckets. You can also use the cyanets. You also have the cyanets in the farm. You can fish using the cyanets. But the drainage system, once it's established, it slopes towards the lower basin. That is the harvesting basin. So you're able the water drains off, and you're left with the little water in the pan. So you can be able to scoop your fish. Actually, it's so easy. You can scoop and go to the market.
While fish farming is a rewarding activity, it has many challenges.
Like we said, we came from different fields. So we are not basically we don't have any information on fish farming. So that is one of the challenges, information, how to manage management systems. So that one actually has been taken care of when we joined Farm Africa. Also, the Kiambu has got a forum where they've been inviting us for symposium. Our workforce, of course, kawaida, people who are knowledgeable. So, like we have 2 people in the farm right now. Also, people who know how to do drainage system, because it's a bit also advanced. We are lucky we are working with some 2 gentlemen who work with us to do the pod, the drainage and all. But it's very scientific to do the drainage. Also, we rely on other big farmers who've already done it, like Mr. Kiama, who is an ornamental farmer in Kirinyaga. We've also relied from them, from their experiences. Like him, he's an accomplished fish farmer. Fish feed is not cheap, because you find like a kilo from the different people who are providing can range between 180 to 150. Yes, so it is up to you, the farmer, to see quality feeds. Finances, we are retired, so we could resources. And also marketing, I think also has been a challenge, but we are going to get there. Also in terms of, like we are in desperate need of an oxygen tank. It's a bit expensive, because for you to be able to move the fish from one point to the other, you've got to move them in some bags which have been oxygenated. So we really need to have that, and we are hoping to buy that by the time we go to the market in April. So resources, information, management systems.
For any farmer, a good market for his produce is key to his success. A good market means that farmers are able to sell most of their produce at a profit. Is there a market for fish?
There is a very big market for the fish. That one we know because people ask. People keep on asking whether they are ready. And these are just about ready now. In 2 months' time, they will be ready.
The 2 use symposia and fish farming conferences to market their farm. The enterprising couple feel that the challenge is not lack of market, but the lack of capacity to produce large volumes that could attract big customers. In some part of the country, like central Kenya, fish is not a traditional food item. In most of these parts, however, there is growing demand for fish as more communities are embracing fish as a delicacy.
For now, the consumption of fish in Kenya is very, very low. That is per capita is very low. And the idea is to prompt that up so that we can be like other countries, and that way we have a ready market for our fish.
Joan is going the extra mile in creating demand for fish in her area. She trains local women on different ways of preparing fish. She reckons that if people know how to prepare fish, they will ultimately become consumers.
We want to start teaching women from Central how to cook fish. Yeah. Like we talk to our colleagues in the church, they tell you, I want to buy, but I don't know how to cook. So I've even taken some initiative. I go to their homes, we cook the fish, they eat. Those ones make you already customers, and we've already trained them how to cook. Okay. Yes. And there are different ways of cooking fish. Okay. If you know how to cook fish, you bake it, or you can deep fry it or shallow fry it, then you're able to cook it in different ways, and people enjoy the fish. We are opening up Kilimo Fish Palace up there. We want to do a small place where we do an eatery every Saturday.
Asked why she chose farming over other businesses, Joan says that it is relieving and exciting.
If you are so stressed, like in the metals, you just go behind there. You look at the fish when you are feeding them. There is no value you can put to that kind of a moment with your fish, or a moment with your plants. You come here, you left your flowers looking untidy, you start taking care of them, and within a week they are giving you more flowers. You go to the market, you sell them. Like these ones have already got to the market. These ones are ready to go to the market, and the ones that are not going to go to the market, to cut them back.
Getting clean farm produce can also go a long way in fighting some lifestyle diseases prevalent in urban centers.
Grow your own food. There's satisfaction in growing your own tomatoes. I remember one agriculture officer was telling us, you go out there and buy tomatoes. Some tomatoes are coming from areas where whatever is being grown may not be grown at a very good environment. Even sukuma wiki. Actually, like each one of us, we have experiences of buying sukuma wiki from the kiosk. But if you have the sukuma wikis that you grow yourself, even those children, they just go outside there, they pick the vegetables, the sukuma wikis, they kata it, they cook it, you know. It's from their farm. More nutritious, more well grown, and you can even cut your budget. Okay? Like here we have rabbits behind here, which is just that they grow so quickly, and you can have just fish, you can have food, white meat, you have healthy meat, and you can also make an income from that. And there's so much value addition also in the farm.
In Kenya, most aspiring fish farmers shy away from the business because they lack the technical know-how.
You remember there was the ESP, Economic Stimulus Project, which was around 2010 or 2009, but it didn't go very well. And people cite the reasons as lack of training. Farmers didn't have the technical know-how, so somehow it didn't pick up.
For this reason, the enterprising farmers plan to introduce a resource center for fish farming where students as well as aspiring fish farmers can learn the basics of aquaculture.
We are also looking forward to having a resource center, and we have already done the architectural groundwork. That is the drawing, the designs, we have done that. We want to open up to students in primary school, in secondary school, in colleges, because there are quite a lot of colleges.
I'm imagining if only I did a waterway down there, and I did my first small restaurant using the resources, my grown tomatoes, and I do a small restaurant, fish farming, fish eating, and the first batch of customers coming to eat in my small floating restaurant. So there is so much to do with land, and Kiambu land is shrinking, and everybody else is thinking about real estate. I think it's the high time we stopped this and thought of how do we turn our land, how do we add value to our land. So hopefully in a few years' time, once this takes shape, we don't ever need to cut it.
So farmers are working together to see whether we can make it a big business. We can have people consume fish so that we can be like other countries, and that way we have a ready market for our